You are now tuned into Brave Conversations.
Hello, Robyn.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. First and foremost, congratulations, Integrated Business Unit Director.
Thank you.
Doing the things.
Trying, doing,
Yeah.
thriving.
Yeah. Hashtag thriving. Oh, man. How's it been so far?
It's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
Lots to take in, lots to learn.
Yeah.
Extensive growth every single day.
Yeah.
But good.
That's great.
Very good.
That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about specifically how to be authentic in leadership. And obviously you've had a baptism of fire. And I'm just really interested in getting into your head about what you've learned so far and how you reflect on leadership and what you think are the most important things for people to be thinking about. So tell us about you and your leadership journey.
So it's an interesting time to have this conversation, as you've mentioned, the baptism of fire, and just having to really show up. I'd like to make the analogy of, through our conversation, actually, I've just got this image in my mind, and I think it's actually something you posted a while ago. But when I think about leadership and I think about my leadership, it's like conducting an orchestra, a quirky orchestra.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you've got to turn your back from the crowd in order to lead.
Absolutely.
The second thing is that every single instrument has their own unique sound. And when allowed to just play in this space, it makes for such a great harmony. And the one thing about authenticity in this leadership journey that I've learned, which has been both my blessing and my curse, is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable as well as empathetic. Because when you open yourself up and when you show yourself in your true nature, people draw close to you, people open up to you, people feel safe. And in that authentic space, you build a credibility and a trust that is able to assist you in the difficult baptism of fire times. I think in a nutshell, that is how I would place it. But
I would ask you a challenging question, right? So in being authentic and empathetic and having to manage across generations, and you manage younger people, I think sometimes there can be a blurring of lines, right? I think there's a very clear role distinction when you're dealing with older people. But when you manage younger teams and you try and show up authentically and you try and show up as yourself, have you found it difficult to balance that line between I'm now your manager and your leader and I'm now your kind of colleague and friend? Because that is sometimes a gray area which makes it quite difficult to lead and direct people.
Yes, it is a very difficult, the lines can cross. But I think you have to, my team specifically have said to me, they really appreciate how I can transition. They know exactly when I have to wear my BUD hat or my leadership hat and when we can have fun and then... Where's that thing that I asked you for? But it's finding a balance. Finding a balance. It's knowing when you have to draw the line and say, guys, playtime is over, let's work. And when you bring in that element of, I'm here, I'm for you, and we can still be chomas after, you know?
And what's your biggest learning? What's been the most difficult thing you've had to grasp and grapple with?
Sure. It's lonely up here.
Absolutely.
It's been having to show up regardless of what's going on. Whatever's going on personally, whatever's going on in a specific crisis at the office, whatever your team members are facing, but putting yourself and all of that aside in the midst of the chaos, and just having to show up and be a space of encouragement, a space of peace, a space of tranquility, a space of, come on guys, we're going to get this done. But at the back of the ranch, you're like, who's telling me, come on guys, we can get this done, you know? And so it's having that view of a beautiful duck, but you're not seeing how hard that duck is actually really paddling to keep it going. I think that's been tough. And just having to find outlets, safe spaces to take care of myself mentally, to take care of myself spiritually, so that I can show up. And that has been challenging, because when, I mean, you can't, the outlets have to be safe.
Yeah. And the problem with you is you're an empath.
Yes.
So you feel a lot, right?
Yes.
And I think that's it's an admirable quality to have, and it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you have to almost put your feelings in a box and close that box very tight to make very specific decisions based on data and what you need to get done.
Yes.
How have you navigated that?
I feel everything. Like I said, it's a blessing and it's a curse. And so it's as you've mentioned, it's trying to just at certain times go, put your emotions aside, because on top of being an empath, I'm also a Cancerian. And we're very emotional beings.
Double disaster.
Yes, double trouble. But finding spaces where you just have to turn it off.
Yeah.
You have to turn your emotions off and make informed decisions. Wear your business hat. And then, like I said, it's balancing. It's finding that balance of when do you show up and hug and cry and do all those things, and when do you go poker face?
Yeah.
You know?
Time to get it done.
Yes. And that's challenging. It's tough, because oftentimes you suppress, because you're suppressing your emotions so much. You get home into a space where you feel like and it erupts.
Yeah.
And your family have to deal with that eruption, you know?
Yeah.
But it's having support as well. So going home to a space that you have this necessary support that can go, we get it.
We get it. And allow you to be in that space.
Can I make you a cup of tea, you know?
And how do you pay it forward, Robyn? How do you create space for others that you lead to show up as their authentic selves? How do you facilitate that on a daily basis?
So it's creating a culture and an environment for openness and inclusivity, because I love motivating my team in just working in their specific strength. We all have our own strengths and we all have weaknesses. And back to the orchestra, right? The drummer can't do what the trumpet does. So if everybody sticks to their specific strength and shows up and feels confident that I can thrive in what I'm strong at doing, then there is this beautiful, like I mentioned earlier, harmony, and there's a space and a purpose for all of us in it. And I think that's very important, because we're in a competitive industry and environment, and a lot of times you'd see that people are trying to shine over others. But when you find what you're good at and you show up in your specific space and your specific strength, then you don't have to compete, because our purposes are not the same. Our journeys are not the same. And that's what I try and encourage the team, that you've got your own journey and live a purpose-driven life. Make an impact. Move the needle. yeah, just show up with your full self. Bring your full self to the table, and make a purpose, make a difference.
What do you wish you had known? What do you wish you had known? If someone could have written you a letter and sent it to you many, many years ago, what would you have loved to have understood about leading and leading authentically?
That's difficult.
Off the exam script.
Yeah, that's difficult. What do I wish I would have known?
Yeah.
People change.
Yeah.
Things change.
Yeah.
Learning to continue when things change. Learning to adjust and move with the times, and not being stuck in your ways. I think change is hard, and how to deal with that change, I wish I was a little bit better equipped with.
Like a lot of other people,
Yeah.
human beings don't like change.
Yeah.
We talk about it as though we do, until it shows up.
Yeah.
And then you have to confront it, and then you have to be agile and all the things you speak about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The impossible question. I'm going to ask you something that you're not supposed to know the answer to, but you can guess and try and give us an answer. The question is, what lies beyond the boundaries of the observable universe, and what is the ultimate fate of existence itself?
Yeah, it's loaded, man.
Yeah. Jesus, just say Jesus.
Observable. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that that's where all our socks, our lost socks from the laundry.
Somewhere in the universe.
But when we speak about fate, I see a celestial dance off between angels and archangels. And there's this beautiful disco ball and trumpets and we crumping. Because if you're speaking about eternity, it might as well be a party.
It might as well be
right?
fun, right? Yeah, absolutely.
You said Jesus. I mean,
he's there somewhere.
Yes, he's eternal. So that for me is it's it.
What lies beyond?
Yes, just having a massive party every day.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, thank you very much. Continue. I think you've done extremely well. This is a tough journey, and as I said, you've displayed an amazing authenticity in your empathic way of leading. So, thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Be sure to tune into the next episode of Brave Conversations.